So we signed up to do a 1-year internship.
Now, when was this? What year?
This was in 2012 that we went for the first time. And so the plan at that time was we would go out, we'd work with CBI for a year, and then I'd probably come back to the States to do a doctorate. And then, if we had a good experience that first year, we might go back and teach at the seminary at CBI or do something similar in another missions context, or even stay in the U.S. and do ministry. But we were going to kind of give this tithe of our lives, if you will, to missions.
So talk about what made this a lifelong thing.
Yeah, so some really big things happened during that internship. The first thing is that the statistics that led us to Japan, high suicide rates, one of the highest suicide rates in the developed world, lots of depression, over 1 million people that experience an acute social anxiety disorder called hikikomori. High rates of teenage prostitution, and not in the ways that you would expect. It's kind of built in as an old cultural practice, and we were meeting these people, and they were just statistics anymore. They were real people, and they were people that we loved and people that we saw the gospel working in their lives, and it felt really exciting just to be a small part of what the Lord was doing there. So that was the first thing. The second thing was I realized that, I was thinking about kind of doctoral studies and that sort of thing, and had actually a chance to teach at the seminary, which was really just this unique and special experience. And I realized that I didn't have to be a residential student, that there were actually some virtual programs or distance programs or things. And so that kind of changed, where it's like I could still pursue this call, but do it in a different way. I didn't have to move back to America or wherever to do that. And then the last and the biggest thing was, we were already kind of thinking like, okay, we might extend it 2 years. We might kind of make this a longer call. But about 6 months in, before I say that, I should share, like, CBI was in a period of transition at this time. We had just sent out one of our leaders to launch a new ministry. We had a bunch of new leaders that were on the way that weren't there yet. And so it was this kind of like interesting transition period. We had just moved from being this small seminary out in the suburbs of Nagoya, like 45 minutes from the city center, to being in this building that God had miraculously provided that was a 5-minute walk to Nagoya Station, the world's largest train station, in this incredibly strategic place. And so I came like when we had this building, but it was this new season for CBI. And so Michael and I really trusted each other, really loved each other, and he began giving me responsibilities, and I didn't mess it up too bad, so he gave me more responsibilities, and it kind of grew until I really was kind of already doing a lot of leadership roles and whatnot. And about 6 months in, Michael kind of pulled me in his office and shared about the call to Lausanne and how he felt like the Lord was leading him to do that, and basically put on the radar, I'd like for you to consider becoming the new team leader and executive director. At the time, it was director of CBI. And there were other people involved in that decision. It wasn't just him. And we didn't know what to do because I was young. I was in my 20s. We were new to Japan. We were not veteran missionaries to lead a mission team. I did not speak Japanese yet. I didn't even have, now when I do a lot of, all of our recruiting and everything, and these people have amazing stories about why God's calling them to Japan. That wasn't our story. We were these American people that we felt called to unreached people groups. We had no ties to Japan whatsoever. It was just, we'd met Michael and it kind of came on the radar for us. And so Japanese culture and everything was still so new. But our team basically heard that this was kind of on the table, and they came up to us and they were like, we really want you to do it. We think you're the right person, and we really want you to do it. So as I had this kind of mentor and leader that was requesting and saying he thought I could do it, and then I had this team that was surrounding us, we felt affirmed to take the risk and do that.
Again, it's such a beautiful picture of the way God works. We expect God to call likely people, and for their trajectory to make sense to us, and that's just not who God calls. I often think, I reflect a lot, I don't know why, on the 12 disciples, that not one of that ragtag bag of quasi-losers would ever qualify for any ministry that we would respect. They
That's
wouldn't
right.
make it through the first interview.
That's right.
And you think, you look and say, seriously?
Yeah,
This is who you're going to entrust your church to?
that's right.
Well, it argues again that God doesn't call us because we're likely and able. He calls us because he's able.